Yo. Welcome to North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Anthony Darno. With me, we have Jim here live in Orlando for day 3 of the Winter Meetings, our last night here, coming to you with an NSI Live. So, everyone, welcome to the show. Jim, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a really productive week for, I think, a lot of teams. The Pirates, I think maybe have laid some groundwork, got an idea of what their offseason might look like. But as far as like us, we've been talking to a ton of people, doing a ton of content. I don't know how many shows this is this week, but I don't know, like 14, 13, 14. It's kind of insane.
Amount.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But here we are. It's the very, very last one on the list. The Pirates want to break something else, but hopefully, I'll take it.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, if we need, I'm cool with them doing something else, but I don't anticipate anything happening right now. But I guess it's always possible.
I've already ate. I'm not looking forward to a burger. I'm good if they have to do an emergency podcast.
Yeah.
But no, let's kind of just talk and wrap up the Winter Meetings right now. So obviously we know it started with a lot of talk, a lot of action about Kyle Schwarber. The Pirates are making an offer. Or source reported it was 4 years and $100 million or more. Comes out 4 years, $120 million. Seems like the final number by Alex was 4 years, $125. Obviously, it wasn't enough to get it done. Kyle Schwarber signs with the Philadelphia Phillies, going back there for a 5-year, $150 million. But I think, and this isn't just coming from us. This is just coming from, local people, but it's also coming from the national guys and such.
Your mic isn't on.
But even from the national people, that this wasn't just a PR stunt. That is the general feel from everyone who's talking about it, that wasn't just a publicity stunt, PR, hey, we're in it, knowing we're not going to. They made a legit offer to him. This was their offer. They want him to sign it. He did not, and that's just what it is. But it was legit.
Yeah, so that was the first thing that kind of kicked off the meetings. That was Sunday night. We learned about that. Monday, that was sort of the talk of the day. Tuesday, he officially signs with the Phillies. So, the Pirates kind of put that offer in. They think about it for a little bit, and then, next thing you know, he's a Philly. On top of that, the Pete Alonso also signing with the Baltimore Orioles.
Right.
He gets 5 years, $155, which was a lot higher than I think people projected him to get.
Now that deal sounds kind of familiar, right, Jim?
Yeah. Just a little bit more, I think, than what the Mets offered him a few years ago. But the Orioles, they put in the exact same offer for Schwarber that the Phillies did, and they basically just turned around, gave that money right to Pete Alonso. So Alonso off the board, Schwarber off the board, Dylan Cease off the board. That was earlier as well. Those are kind of the three main signings we saw this week. But in terms of the Pirates, we saw Gregory Soto get signed yesterday. And I said, we'll get to all of this, but the Rule 5 draft was today, so the Pirates draft somebody and then immediately trade them. The minor league portion of the draft, you got 4 guys coming into the system, 1 guy coming out, and really after that, I really want to kind of focus on what's next for the Pirates. There's a lot of chatter about Jorge Polanco, a lot of Brandon Lowe talk out there. Right. I think both of those guys make a lot of sense for the Pirates. So, we'll dive into all that. And then we also want to have a little bit of time at the end of this just for your all's questions. I mean, we've been here since Sunday, been hanging out with a lot of people. So, whatever questions you have for us, we'll kind of devote the very end of the show to just answering some questions that you got. We probably won't take a full hour or 90 minutes like we normally do on NSI Live. No Tyler tonight. It's just the 2 of us. But
the 2 of us.
Yeah, I'm excited for this show. We're here we're right in the lobby of Winter Meetings, and there's not a whole lot of people still here. Everyone pretty much left after the Rule 5 draft, but there's still a few stragglers.
Yeah, for sure. So again, kind of getting back to the whole Schwarber thing. I know the Pirates missed out on him. That was a guy that they really wanted. And like I mentioned about the similarities between the contracts, where I actually was going with the whole Baltimore thing. Baltimore was in on Schwarber, offering him 5 for $150. Basically the same thing that the Phillies did, right? But that was his way of saying, I'm going to go back home. It seemed like Schwarber wanted to be in Philadelphia, even though it was the same contract. He went back into Philadelphia, and then the Orioles said, well, hey, we were going to give 150 to him. Let's just turn around and give it to Pete Alonso. So that's basically what they did, 155, which is $1 million more than what the Mets were offering him before. So I don't know if there was a little bit of shade there. But what I'm alluding to is, like they missed out on one. They said, hey, we have this money. Let's just reallocate it to someone else, similar skill sets, and get him. And they did. I mean, the very next day, they wrapped that up. And the reason I point that out was, was that something maybe the Pirates could have done? Was that maybe like, hey, we were ready to allocate this type of money to this type of player. Could we then pivot to like you've even mentioned this, but like a Cody Bellinger or like a Pete Alonso or something else of that caliber? Obviously, that doesn't seem as if that's the way and direction they're going though with this.
Yeah, based off of just who we've talked to, it doesn't look like that's the case. It looked like it seems like Kyle Schwarber, and this is what Alex was telling us on our AMA with him earlier today. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. But kind of the gist of it, I think Kyle Schwarber was special. Like he was looked at in a different light as opposed to all of the other bigger name free agents. The Pirates really targeted him and really wanted to go after him. And that was the one guy that they were willing to go kind of all in for.
Right.
And so I don't anticipate them taking that money and just turning around and going to Cody Bellinger as much as, hey, if I were the general manager, that's exactly what I would do. I think I would much prefer like that upside and that really high ceiling that he gives you and the power. I mean, there's a lot of things that Cody Bellinger offers that this team just does not have right now.
For sure.
And, probably a similar deal gets him done. Like you saw 150 for Schwarber, you saw 155 for Alonso. Like Bellinger probably lands around that same area. So, if you were willing and able to offer that money to Schwarber, you would think that you would be willing and able to offer that to really anybody who's worth it.
Yeah.
But it seems like the Pirates viewed Schwarber kind of in a special light, whereas now they're going to probably pivot to, multiple moves as opposed to giving that lump sum to a guy like Bellinger. But as much as I would love it, I feel like he'd be a perfect fit. But I don't see something like that happening.
Yeah, for sure. But they don't leave these winter meetings empty-handed. They did pivot another direction. They went and got a relief pitcher, lefty, and Gregory Soto, 1 year, $7.75 million. We had the emergency podcast. We talked about initial reactions at first, and, they needed a lefty. They absolutely needed a lefty to go out there, and they didn't settle for one. We liked Caleb Ferguson last year. Like, don't get me wrong. It was one of those deals that's like, hey, it's 1 year's $3 million, but like, don't look at this as like a bottom feeder. There's real upside with Caleb Ferguson. But the thing was, there's also a lot of risk with Caleb Ferguson. And I feel like with the Gregory Soto one, there's not as much risk. I think he's a better pitcher overall. There's still some qualities and upside to him, though. So like they went out and they spent $7.75 million on like an established lefty reliever who has some also, I think it's important to some degree, some closing experience. Dennis Santana is kind of newer to that. Like once they traded David Bednar, he went in there. I mean, he did a fantastic job, and I think he's penciled in to be the closer. But I think it's nice with, the thing about Dennis Santana, it's not like he has to swing and miss type of stuff. He's not your prototypical closer that you look at. So having someone with some of that experience in the back pocket as well, also the righty lefty, matchup type. So I mean, that's one thing about I like this deal with Gregory Soto as well.
Yeah, I talked about it last night. I think this is a good deal. I understand the frustration that people have when you say they need bats. They need bats. Why are we wasting our resources and our time here on December 9th, which was yesterday, on a left-handed pitcher, giving him $7.75 million? I can understand that sentiment because, I mean, let's face it, they need bats. They need bats. Yeah. They need bats, right? But they also needed a lefty reliever. Like they needed to eventually make a move to add someone to this bullpen, particularly a southpaw, and Gregory Soto is a good one. I said the ERA in the low fours the last few years. But you look at the FIP, you look at the stuff, you look at the strikeouts. Like I think there's a lot there that makes him, a pretty good pitcher. We talked about Chapman, like Aroldis Chapman, when he signed with Pittsburgh, wasn't really coming off the best season from an ERA standpoint. But when teams are looking at these relievers, honestly, ERA is not something that they are looking at. They're looking at their stuff. They're looking at, hey, can they get batters to swing and miss? Do they avoid hard contact? Do they avoid the barrel of the bat? That's what people care about when they're looking at arms.
And is it something that we can make better?
Right. And Soto possesses all of those things. So it's one of those things where if they can just, dial in the command a little bit, which Soto's shown it in his past years that he can pitch even better than he has. Yeah, I think they could maybe unlock something there, but regardless, the floor on Soto is still a pretty decent left-handed pitcher out of your bullpen. So
Right.
I think he's that tier above Ferguson. I think he's obviously a tier below Chapman, but he's a good left-handed reliever.
And can I just go back on that whole thing about, like you mentioned, with him being the reliever and any hitters. I mean, come on, guys. If you dunk on the Pirates so often, like what do real teams do? They can do more than one thing at once. Like they need hitters, right? But like they shouldn't just be looking at hitters and hitters and hitters, and they keep striking out. Watch the relief market pass them by. So when they finally get their hitter, and now it's February, it's like, oh, now we need a lefty, and well, they're gone. If you want them to be a real team, let them actually pretend like they're a real team. Let them do two things at once. Let them chew gum and walk at the same time. So like that's my issue with this whole thing. Like they needed bats, okay, they do, but they also need relievers. They ain't got one. All right, so chill out. Now, what I will say, if you want to, battle this a little bit, I mean, Tyler had some issues. I know he's not on here, so I'll speak for him. Well, guys, I don't think that this deal is good because $7.75 million when you only have $30 million to use. You're allocating all these funds towards this reliever. I kind of get that aspect. You know what? I'll tell you this. That could be a good argument. When you have limited funds, if you're only going to have about $30 million in free agency and you're targeting big bats and such, $7.75 million to a lefty reliever, that's a lot of funds to allocate towards that. So like there is that argument. Now, I guess my side to that is, well, maybe spend a little more or like, hey, that's why Mitch Keller's on the table. So that can free up $16 more million. And,
y'all couldn't get rid of me that easy.
It's justice.
You know what?
They couldn't get rid of me that easy. They tried to get rid of me. They couldn't do it.
This brings up a good segment. So 1 second here.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
All right, guys. So we're joined by Justice Deos Santos, former Pirates beat writer for MLB.com. Justice, what are you up to nowadays?
Covering the San Francisco Giants for San Jose Mercury News. As many of you know, I was originally from the Bay Area, moved out to Pennsylvania, not Pittsburgh, California, which put in the chat how you feel about Pittsburgh, California being spelled with no H. It just cuts off at the G. Incredibly weird. Although what is dope is that Pittsburgh High School's team mascot is the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I will also note they won the game that I covered, the preps game that I covered a couple of weeks ago. And I will also note they come out the black and yellow. So despite the colors being orange.
Just a piece of knowledge there. I'm pretty sure that Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the only burg in the United States that has the H on the end. No other burgs have it. Apparently, it was a thing that like the government did like 150 years ago. They wanted like continuity among all the burgs. So any of them that had H's, they had to drop the H. But Pittsburgh was like, no, we're getting that H. They're like, we're getting that H back.
They are not conformers.
So, you probably had a lot of questions this week, huh?
Absolutely. Too many. Said, asked, everything in between.
Do you want to get asked maybe the dumbest question you've received all week?
Honestly, that might be if you have Stump on the show again, that might be a very high bar to clear.
All right. How about this? How about if you had to eat a crayon, what color do you think would taste the best?
Do y'all remember that podcast where the dude was like, what's your favorite flavor of Fruit Loop? And he was like, they're all the same. And he's like, no, there's a green apple. It's like, no, it's Fruit Loop.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the flavor is crayon.
No. But which one? Yeah, like from a
I will say
sensory,
sensory.
Yeah.
I think you got to go pink because I think there's going to be something in your mind where you're like, if like pink, it's bright, it's bubblegum, it's still going to taste like a crayon. But if you eat black, that's just like spiritually uneasy.
So you know what? Before I asked you the question, I was like, I wonder what my answer would be. And I was going to say pink.
It's my guy right there.
And
we got any baseball questions?
Well, and the reason why, actually, I do. You know what? I actually might have one. I do have one baseball question for you, but I want to say, I feel like pink starbursts, for example. I don't know what it is about the pink starbursts. Are the best. They're the best.
They are the best.
So yeah, I'm going pink as well. Donardo, what's your what color crayon would you eat?
Well, If I were to go off the famous YouTube video and quote Gucci Mane, the red ones taste the best.
I don't know if you just saw, but Mike Yastrzemski, 2-year deal, $23 million to the Braves.
I did see that. When you kind of compile some of the options that the Giants made, we're going into baseball analysis talk now.
There we go.
See how quickly that flips can get switched. When you're kind of analyzing some of the options that the Giants had as far as addressing the corner outfield, Yastrzemski did make a lot of sense. Now, he was traded at the deadline to the Kansas City Royals in exchange for Junior Marte. But, always potentially a possibility to come back. But now it seems that 2-year, 23 Braves, that's a name that the Giants can cross off.
Let me ask you this. The Giants are one of the teams sort of linked to Mitch Keller making sense. ESPN, I think, threw out a projected trade that seemed way off, but they threw out Mitch Keller for Bryce Eldridge. In your you covering the Giants, would you say that Bryce Eldridge is kind of off limits in terms of that type of talent acquisition? Or, I guess from a Giants standpoint, what are they looking for, and why does Keller make sense? And who are some guys that maybe the Pirates could target from the Giants in a Keller trade?
So this is one of the questions that was actually asked to President of Baseball Operations, Buster Posey, Pobo Posey, if you may. And the way that Posey answered it, I think a lot of baseball, this is not to throw shade at any specific baseball fan, but I think you kind of know who you are if this offends you. I think a lot of baseball fans want definitive yes, no, he's on the market or he's untradeable. And the reality, the fact of the matter is a lot of front offices are not going to operate in that fashion. There's going to be a lot of gray area. If anything, it's like shades of gray. I'm not making reference to the book. This is just literally the analogy I'm going with. I wish I did not make it, but we are in these waters now. But
real kinky.
But effectively, Posey did say, we're not going to cut off any potential avenue. General manager Zach Manassian went on KNBR last week and said, we don't effectively have untouchables, but they really like Bryce. And he's 6'7", 6'7", to whatever he is. He has some of the, I think in the minors, he had the highest hard hit rate in baseball. He can just hit the hell out of the ball. The numbers from the 10 games that he had last season don't necessarily reflect the quality of at-bats that he had. I remember there was an at-bat against Zach Gallen in particular where Gallen was just spamming him with sliders and Eldridge was taking them as if he'd seen Gallen a bunch of times. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. It is a little bit of a clunky fit with Devers and Eldridge. That's one of the questions that they still have to ask themselves, who's going to play first more often? And then you also got to consider that Matt Chapman is getting up there in age. Willie Adames is going to be getting up there in age. Yeah, even Jung-Hoo Lee gets DH days. Actually, I don't even know if he got DH days, but these are guys that are going to need a DH day every once in a while. And when you have one of Devers or Eldridge kind of locked into that position, it makes things a little inflexible. But I think the way that Posey said it was the sky's the limit for Eldridge, and he's the type of impact bat that you can see influencing a lineup for 10 to 15 years. Now, is that just him trying to spike up the value and try to tell teams hey, we really like this guy, if you're going to trade for him, there needs to be a legitimate value? Is it something that he really means? Is it somewhere in between? I think it's kind of
because he swings and misses way too much.
There is a lot of swing and miss in his game, and that's one of the things that as Eldridge, who is only 21, is going to have to work on and address. But it's one of those things where if you told me on February 9th, I think that's when the WBC guys report, if you say that Bryce Eldridge isn't a Giant, I wouldn't be shocked. If you say that Bryce Eldridge is a Giant, I wouldn't be shocked. And that's just the nature of, you never know what a deal or if a deal can be a possibility until it happens. And I guess the biggest example of that's the Rafael Devers trade. If you would have told me in last February that Rafael Devers would be a Giant, I'd be like, how?
Right.
And it happens.
Yeah. But Keller certainly makes sense. And like I said, been kind of linked to the Giants in trade talks. Giants need starting pitching. Pirates might be trading Keller. So yeah, natural fit.
Yeah. And the Giants do need starting pitching.
Outside Eldridge, because the Pirates would want some sort of bat that they could hopefully plug into their lineup and make an impact in 2026. Are there any other Giants out there that you can think of that kind of fit that mold, maybe being blocked by another position player of some sort?
You ever heard of Marco Luciano?
That's a good.
Bye. Get out of here. I hate him.
So pink crayons.
Yes.
Was pink your color?
I said red,
You said red. So I mean,
but honestly,
yeah, close. To being the same.
like I'm with you with the Starburst though. I mean, pink's just elite. That's the best flavor there is.
Yes,
hands down with Starburst. Don't come at me with yellow trash.
Okay. Well, we didn't have Keller on our agenda, but yeah, that was a good little talk there with Justice. I said, giving us a little bit of perspective from the Giants. Like I said, that definitely, if Keller is on the trade market, the Giants are certainly a team that's going to be interested in him.
Right. For sure. So we talked about Sodto. We talked about where are we at here? So trades and transactions. So yeah, I mean, today was the Rule 5 draft.
Yeah.
Pirates had 39 guys on the 40-man. The talk was, are they going to select someone? Are they going to pass? What's going to happen? Well, they did essentially select somebody. But it's not because they wanted him. Clearly, another team wanted him. They selected the player. It was Carter Baumler, and they traded him to Texas shortly after. So cash considerations is more or less thanks to Ethan Houlihan, who gets all this stuff right. I'm sure he's fact-checking us live right now, and if we're incorrect, he's going to be running down that hallway. But Pirates, of course, have to pay $100,000 in the Rule 5 draft to get him. Texas goes ahead and gives the Pirates the $100,000 back essentially and send them back a prospect also. So, more or less the Pirates didn't, I guess, assume like they didn't find anyone too interesting in the Rule 5 that they wanted. So they used that to acquire a player that they did want to put into the minor league system. Yeah.
And that player is 20-year-old right-handed reliever, Yiker Garcia. So, yeah, it seems like there's not a lot I can really find on this guy. He hasn't pitched much in America. He pitched in the Arizona Complex League last year, 18 games, 19 innings, gave up 20 hits. He walked 14 batters. He did strike out 14 as well. Struck out 26. Sorry. So there's some swing and miss stuff there, but clearly some control issues. He's playing in the Venezuelan Winter League right now, actually, and I believe he's on the exact same team as not only Joe Stinson Garcia, but also former Bucco great Tucapita Marcano.
Right. Not so much great on the betting side, but
also on that team. So he's he's in winter ball, which so you get a kind of a chance to see him, and he's pitching really well in winter ball right now. Again, the walks are still there, but he's not really giving up any runs. He's not really giving up any hits. He's still striking out people, but that seems to be his calling card. Is like the stuff must be pretty good with the swing and miss, but he doesn't really seem to have any idea where the ball is going when he throws it.
But I mean, that's nothing that's certainly uncommon. I mean, that's some of the guys that they bring in that are major league ready in the majors, and they've helped, with that skill set. But again, what I want to stress on this too, because I understand, like, I mean, it's the Pirates, right? They deserve every reason to get dunked on a lot of times. And of course, we see cash considerations. It's, oh boy, they're being cheap again. They're getting some money, right? But again, think of this. If they go into the Rule 5, and there's 39 guys on their 40-man, and they just signed Sodto. So once he officially, well, I guess they're signing Sodto. So once he officially signs, that will bring the roster to 40. So they would have to DFA someone. In their minds, there's probably no one right now at this moment worthy of DFAing. So they went into the Rule 5 essentially saying that we didn't want to take anyone. But there's a team that did, and they're saying, like, hey, Pirates, if you select this guy, like, we'll trade for you to get him because we want him, right? Because here's the thing, too. Like, think about the Rule 5. Like, you have to carry this guy on your major league roster the entire year. Well, again, think about this. If this is a team that's trying to compete, do you want them to carry a guy on this team that's really not all that good? I mean, he's a Rule 5 guy, right? Think about these guys in Rule 5s. That you can find some diamonds in the rough, right? You can find some guys that'll be good, but that's what your hurry was a few years ago. Like, do you really want this team who's really trying to compete and do something to carry your hurry on the team? Maybe not, right? Maybe a guy who's injured that's going to be on the 60-day IL all year. Like, okay, that's fine. They went in here. They said there's really no one we want. They want someone. They said, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and we'll do that, right? We'll sign. Well, I guess we'll draft this guy. We'll trade him to you because here's a prospect that's really not much of anything because you're trading for a Rule 5 guy. But there's some things that would interest us. Let's put him into our minor league system and work with him. So again, like, this was a nothing burger for the Pirates. They there was no problem. That was not them being cheap. It was them actually doing something kind of smart with the Rule 5 pick.
Yeah, I mean, and you can even look at it. I mean, these are still people dealing with people too. So like, if the Rangers really wanted this guy, like, you just did him a favor. Like, let's call it what it is. Like, if the Rangers were targeting this guy, Carter Baumler, and he wasn't going to fall to him, Ben Cherington did the Rangers a favor. And like, that may not mean much in terms of like big impact, but who knows? Maybe down the road, it's like, that relationship between the two organizations, it gets a little bit better. And when you're dealing for something down the road, hey, like, yeah, we had a really good experience with the Pirates. You guys did us a solid in the Rule 5 draft. Like, maybe all things even, when the Rangers are looking to trade somebody or the Rangers are looking to acquire somebody, and it's like, these two things are pretty even, but, the Pirates helped us out. Let's just go ahead and do that. They were easy to work with. So,
or regardless, again, you're making better working relationships.
Yeah.
So when you go and make that text or that call, you know what? I'll pick up the line. It's Ben.
I think that's something that like maybe a lot of people kind of underrate. And you see it here where like everyone that you're meeting here is a person. It's like, it's people talking to people. So you just, I mean, think about it in your own job, think about it in your own life. You're more likely to kind of work with and deal with people who you have good relationships with. So
yeah,
this is.
Do you want to have a Jim and Denard relationship? No,
I don't want to work with you.
No. So make good ones. Draft people for them. Moving forward, then. So we've talked about free agency. We talked about the Rule 5 draft. Let's go ahead and talk about the actual trade market. Right. So that seems to be heating up a bit, and the Pirates once again are involved. We know again the chips are starting to fall. Pete Alonso got signed. Schwarber got signed. So what can be done in the trade market? There is Brandon Lowe, who's, a hot commodity. We've talked about him before. That could be a good fit for the Pirates. And again, like, those talks seem to be picking up a bit. Some people are even talking about that he could be traded within the next few days.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this, like, John Morosi has kind of been talking about this all day, that the Rays are actively in trade talks, shopping Brandon Lowe around, and the Pirates are part of those talks. The Reds also in those talks. So again, Lau's somebody who we've been talking about all offseason as someone who's like a really good fit for this team. So I mean, 31 homers last year. He's making $11.5 million. The 1 year left on his deal. So you think that, hey, with $11.5 million, like, that's not a lot of money, but it's a reasonable amount of money. 1 year left on the deal. Like, he probably doesn't have a ton of trade value. Whereas when we were talking about Ketel Marte earlier in the week, like, Ketel Marte has a lot of years left on his deal and not a lot of money, and he's one of the best players in the game. So it's like, if you want to get Ketel Marte, you're gonna have to give up really good players. Brandon Lowe is a little bit different in that he's a good player. He can hit, but not nearly as much value as someone like Ketel Marte. But someone who, if you plug Brandon Lowe into this lineup, like, he immediately makes it a lot better. I'd be all for welcoming Brandon Lowe into this Pirates lineup.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I know it's a 1 year deal, and that's, a little bit of a drawback in some people's eyes. Again, I looked at it like, I think there should be someone who's here that's controllable, maybe at least one or two, but it also makes sense maybe bringing someone in here that is just on a 1 year deal, because you can get them relatively cheap in terms of prospect capital. So like, if you're getting a Brandon Lowe, you're maybe trading like outside your top 5, 7, into your 10 something range. Then that's the guy that, like, okay, like, especially the Tampa Bay Rays, again, we talk about, you might think you have a better package to go somewhere else, and they're like, "Oh, we were giving you a number 5 prospect. You went and took someone 17." It's like, well, they identify what they want, and they usually make it good. So that's one of the things too. Like, when the Rays say, like, "Hey, we want that guy," then you start to think, "All right, what do you know about them?" Right? But either way, this type of a deal, like, it's one that's not going to be so painful, but it's someone that's going to make your offense much better this year, and that's where this comes into play. And I think this is like one of those perfect fits for the Pirates. They have a lot of those players that, they have really, like JJ Cooper saying, it's very top heavy. And after that, some of the guys that are fitting like number 10, number 15, I'm sorry, like number 10 might be someone else's, like number 15 to 18 or something. So if the Tampa Rays want this type of a player back, I say, like, you go in and do it. But there's going to be some competition for him as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit everything. And yeah, I think it would be great to get him. And you're not going to have to give up as much as as Marte. And now, as Nesbitt said when we talked with Steven earlier today, like the Rays are going to get what they want. That's what the Rays do.
And that's what's scary.
So it's, it's still probably going to be some good players that they'll end up developing. And 3 years later, you'll be like, God damn it, I wish we hadn't given up that guy.
Right.
But if you want Brandon Lowe, you're going to have to give up something. So, yeah, it's one of those deals that has the potential 3-4 years later to be like, shit, that would have been nice to keep that guy. But that's what a year of Brandon Lowe costs.
Yep. Still saying on the trade fronts, seems like Houston's picking, I'm not saying pick up some steam, but there's been talks, about they're interested in a pitcher, Pirates matching up with them as well. I don't know if it's a Mitch Keller. There's been a lot of things circulating with like Michael Burrows with them. But yeah, like the pitching market, they're looking into potential trade in there. Nothing's been like Lowe, we know they're in such. This is more like talks, but a Houston fit maybe for pitching. They have some interesting things that could maybe come back for the Pirates. We talk about Isaac Paredes potentially as well. Like that could be a good fit for them at third base. But yeah, that's also a potential trade partner that's being looked into right now.
Yeah. I said Astros interested in pitching. Burrows kind of fits that mold. I feel like if you're going to trade Burrows, you'd probably need more than Paredes.
I agree.
I'd be okay with him. I think my issue with Paredes is he's a really big pool guy. Left field at PNC Park is a little difficult. Like Houston does seem just like the perfect spot for him.
Right.
Like it's like, I don't know if he can be better anywhere other than Houston. It's just like the perfect setup. But as far as like he goes, like he's a good player. He plays decent defense. I feel like he's gotten better offensively since he left Tampa as well, which is interesting of it. I would, he's got 2 years of control. It'd be nice to have him for 2 years because like that just solves kind of your third base issue for a while. Burrows for Paredes, you could probably make that deal because of the depth that you have at pitcher. And if you're doing that, you probably would like to bring in another starting pitcher on top of that just for depth as well. But like the Pirates are in a spot where, yeah, if someone wants Burrows, like see if you can get what you want or need for him, because I think Burrows has a lot of value as a starting pitcher with 6 years of control. And I think he's pretty good. Like, I think he's got a pretty high floor. I think he's a major league starting pitcher, maybe like a back end starter, but like that's a 2-WAR starting pitcher. And those don't grow on trees. If he can stay healthy, like he's someone that teams are going to want.
Yeah. And like, I want to stress too, like you say, they don't grow on trees, and trust me, like they don't, but like, this is what you kind of have to do when you're the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you really believe in your development of pitching, right? I mean, you want to really consider yourself as like this pitching factory. Appreciate that.
This is not sponsored.
Hey, look,
if you want, actually,
it's
cover the label.
it's red.
Not
It
sponsored.
tastes pretty good, man.
Thank you, Justice. We'll see you
later. But again, like if you do believe in like your ability to develop pitching, then what I'm trying to say is Michael Burrows is expendable because he is in number 5, and like you should be able to replace that. Like, who's the next Michael Burrows? So like there is that factor. Now, what I will say though is like I'm with you on the fit. I don't know if the fit's perfect. Like that's a good trade, and so it's all right. Like I think it might be a little more, but maybe the Pirates have to overpay. That's something they have to do in a lot of cases here. But is Paredes like the right return for that? Yes, Houston is a really good fit. If he goes to PNC, is that the perfect return? Is there maybe something else they can look to get instead of him? You might be left with that, and that's the deal that you make. And I do think he improves your team, obviously. But yeah, I don't know if it's the perfect fit in Pittsburgh there.
Yeah, I think it would work. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, right.
But like, are there better fits? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I would rather go out there and just get Suarez.
There you go. And just spend cash.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you said, that's like the trade part. But there is also something that's brewing here potentially. It's Alex Stump more or less said like they're preparing to make an offer for Jorge Polanco. You talk about Lowe. Polanco also kind of like fits that mix. Like he'd be in their second base. He had a really good offensive year last year. Now the year before he didn't. That was his first year in Seattle, and again, there were some complaints about Seattle and things going on or whatever, but he turned and bounced back last year and had a really, really good year. And, I felt he was always been a really good offensive player. Injuries have kind of been, something he's dealt with in the past and such. And last year he was very healthy and hit well, but he can come in here and I think he could be a very, very good player for the Pirates.
Yeah, Polanco is one of those players that the team doesn't. I guess he's sort of like a Brian Reynolds type guy in terms of a hitting standpoint. When Reynolds was hitting better, like you'd hope Reynolds and Polanco are kind of similar. I think Polanco is a really good fit for this team. I think he can hit. I think he can improve the offense. I don't think he would cost a ton of money either. He's going to be 32 years old next year. He's coming off a 26 homer season, a switch hitter. So, you can bat him against righties and bat him against lefties. Like you don't need to platoon the guy. He can play a lot of different positions. He's, a little bit older, not as quick as he used to be, but I think second base is probably the best fit for him. But you could plug him at third. You can play DH. Hell, you could maybe even try giving him a first base glove and see what happens there.
Especially him being like a switch hitter. Like maybe that could be like the platoon for Horwitz potentially or something. Give you some flexibility here.
Yeah, I'll say this. The more I think about, we talked about Brandon Lowe, we talked about Polanco. Like, if you couldn't get Schwarber, which they didn't do, and you're not going to go around and devote a ton of resources to just like one guy, like I think the combo of even though they're both second basemen, like I think the combo of those two, if you bring in Polanco and Lowe, one is a free agent, one is a trade, like those are two guys who really help this team out.
Yeah.
And I think you can just kind of figure out where to put them. Like Lowe has played a lot of outfield in his career. If you're going to get Polanco and you're going to get Lowe, like just put Lowe in left field. Put Lowe in left field. Let Polanco play second. Gonzalez shifts over to short maybe for a little bit of time. And boom, like those are two bats that you just injected into the lineup that really, really help you out. It's going to be interesting to see just how they piece this team together, because I think the sense that I also got this week was like they're not really necessarily looking for like positions. Like they definitely want to make sure that they have somebody who can play left field. They want to make sure they have somebody who can play third base. But they really are just looking for bats.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, we'll figure the rest out later.
But the thing is, like, that's kind of what they have to do. Like, beggars can't be choosers. They need bats. They need like 2 to 3 bats, like at minimum. And they're in a situation where like they're probably not going to be the highest bidders on every one of them. I mean, they have to be the highest bidders on some, right? But like they're like Schwarber, like they're not going to go out there and put 5 years, 150. And even if they did, they're not going to win that. So they have to do like 5 years, maybe 160, even entertain that. They have to sell them on this plan and what we're going to do. And it's hard to do when a free agent looks at that team and says, I don't believe it. So like you got to really cast that net wide to try to convince someone, because you're not going to get it. You can't say like, I want these 3 guys and trust me, bro, I got them. You're gonna have to say like, I want 100 of these guys and I got like a 3% chance of getting them. So like the way that I'm gonna get 3 guys is by casting my net on 100 of them. So you can't really be picky. So it's like, who's a hitter? You're a hitter. I want you in, and we'll figure out after that where we're all playing. So yeah, I'm with that sense. And like what I want to say too, also, because I've seen some comments here, not for all you guys, but I've just seen some comments relatively about adding like a Polanco. And like, I know his defense isn't good, right? Like he doesn't have a good defense, but like, what defense did Nick Gonzalez have last year? Are we kind of forgetting like how bad Nick Gonzalez' defense was last year? And also like the bat wasn't really there either. So even though Jorge Polanco's defense is not what it used to be, and he is 32 years old, I look at it as probably being just as good as Nick Gonzalez. And even if it's a share less, the bat outplays it. I mean, you getting a legit bat in here, had 26 home runs, does some damage. That's what you want. So if I'm going to suffer a little bit defensively at second base to get that type of a bat at second base over what Nick Gonzalez is producing right now, I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. You need bats.
And also when your pitching staff is striking everybody out, because you've got 2 like top of the rotation ace-like arms and Skeens and hopefully Bubba Chandler, like maybe the defense doesn't really matter because they're not hitting the ball anyways. And if they are hitting it, it's weak contact that, you put Bucko Mike out there a second, he can feel the balls.
And that's the thing. It's weak contact. So we got guys on first. Where was Nick Gonzalez screwing up so many times? I mean, how many times you see Henry Davis throw down to second for a stolen base and Nick Gonzalez just couldn't catch the ball? You know what I mean? Like, are we forgetting about that? Like he was just being a disservice to the run game, because Henry Davis had an incredible arm last year, was picking guys off right and left, but then he would throw to second base and Nick Gonzalez would just miss it. So again, like you might sacrifice a little bit defensively on second base. It wasn't that good last year, but think about the offense that you're adding now. That's what this team really needs. And I think offense is more important, although again, we do overlook defense a lot. Brian Hayes is a big part of that. But you know, if you're going to sacrifice a little bit of defense to get that type of a bat at second base, you absolutely doing it.
I agree with you. I agree with 100%.
All right. So next, so like big picture, like what is the next move for the Pittsburgh Pirates? You know, again, they came in here, they're the talk. You know, they're in on everybody. They got a reliever. Nothing was really solved with the bats. What is the next move?
Yeah, I mean, I think the next move is I think they're going to sign Jorge Polanco, and I think they're going to do it before. I'm going to go ahead and say they sign Jorge Polanco before our next episode of Venice9 Live.
Well, hot take.
But I'm getting the sense, one, that the Pirates are like really interested in.
Yeah.
Same. And then at the same time, like they're, you know, based off of what Alex is reporting, like they're putting an offer together, a very serious offer together, and it's going to be a good one. And they want Jorge Polanco.
Yeah. This all goes. And again, I totally understand. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? It's the same old Pittsburgh Pirates. Put up or shut up. Let me see it first. I totally get it. But I will say, once again, it does seem like a different vibe this offseason. I didn't mention it, but when Nesbitt was on for his AMA, you know, he was talking about some things. Like, I think he was talking about was like in 2026, here's what we will do. You've heard so many times that we want to get better. We're going to do things to make our team better. That was a sentiment. And that what does that mean? You know, like you can bring in you can simply bring in a reliever, and that technically makes the team better, right? You have one more guy last year that's better than that reliever. Technically, they're better, but there wasn't like a true game plan. It wasn't like direct things. We need bats. We're going to get bats. We're going to get better. You know, like there is a different message that's being put out there. Now, again, like I said on a wrap up, you could just simply say, hey, these adjectives and adverbs aren't working. We're just going to change the way we word things right now and still blow smoke. Like, I get that. That's why they still have to prove it. But that message is different. The vibe is different. And again, you are hearing from multiple people of the offers are making. They are like, the interest is real in these guys. So like we said with the Polanco, like I can see that happening. Now they have to do it. And if they do it, I think that will maybe start to have some fans believing into this, but that's just one guy. Okay, so we need two or three. Who's the next guy? So I think the dominoes help build that trust back. But I do honestly believe that the Pirates aren't just making PR stuff. You know, they are trying, but again, trying isn't enough. You have to actually do and succeed.
Yeah, I think that's the next move. But I mean, you said everything I would have said is, at the end of the day, they eventually need to get players. They can't just be in on everybody. They've got to get them. They've got to execute, and we still haven't seen that yet.
No.
So like that's all of the chatter, all of the talk where it's like, I gotta see it to believe it. Like, we need to see it to actually believe it. The only thing I can say is that it sounds different. Like every other year, it's, we're going to try to get better. We're going to try to win as fast as we can, or we'll try to win as many games as we can. Whereas this year it is, we need to add, we are going to add, and we need to make the playoffs. Like, I mean, because let's face it,
the word urgency actually seems as it has meaning behind it this year.
Right. They have urgency. Now it's just a matter of, like, can they execute and build a lineup together that is good enough where this pitching staff, because as I said, the pitching is still going to lead this team. It's still going to be its identity. We got a chance to talk to Don Kelly yesterday, and it was like, hey, like, what's going to be the identity of this team? And like, he still said, like, even adding bats, like, it's still going to be the pitching. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the strength of this team. It's going to be the strength of the team. So like, that's how you got to win. Right. But you need to have offense good enough where that pitching can even give you the chance to win some games.
Right. All right. So I think that wraps everything up here on that side. So let's go ahead and go to our Q&A portion.
Yeah. So again, like, we've been here Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is our fourth day here. If you've got any questions at all, just on kind of like what we've been hearing, what we've been doing, just kind of general vibes. Everybody in the chat, you've seen, Jeff Passon, I think, has just been, he was just like pacing behind us for a little bit. Like that's just kind of the atmosphere it is here. Like you just kind of see everybody everywhere. It's just everything's out in the open. You see everybody talking to everybody, and it's an event where if baseball is your thing and you want to do baseball for a living, or you talk about baseball or anything in that, or you want to, if you want to be in baseball, this is the place to be. Everybody's here.
Yep, absolutely.
So, but yeah, let's. I said quick Q&A. So I started a couple questions, so I'll kind of ask those first. Greg asked, "Who's your favorite trade target or free agent left?"
Realistic or just favorite? Because
who's your favorite?
I'll say this, and you made me like think of it even more because you brought up. Because I guess what happened is I wasn't even entertaining players because like this isn't going to be in the Pirates stratosphere, and then all of a sudden, Kyle Schwarber seemed like this was like real. You know, like we heard all they're interested, but then there was this actual contract that was made and whatever. So like Bellinger to me, like that he re-enters. Like my favorite free agent right now is Bellinger because. For one, he plays all three outfield spots. The power that's there, but the reason that all three make sense is because Cruz, like he can play center. Like Cody Bellinger can absolutely play a solid center field, and Cruz is going to take you. We don't know what he's going to do. Like that's a backup, or if like he get injured, like it's not like okay, well there's Jack Sawinski. So like him being able to play center field makes sense, but also too like it's something where like he's younger than Schwarber. So like if you have to go an extra year, like if you're going to give someone a 5-year 150, right, opposed to the 4-year 125, that makes sense. And maybe he doesn't age too well, but this is a guy who also was able to play first base. So like if he's not playing in the outfield, maybe at the end of this contract he's your first baseman, still providing power. So I like that the way he can age in that. I like his skill set. Like he's a 3 to 4 WAR player potentially. Yeah. So that's my guy right now that I like the best. Realistically, Polanco.
Okay. We also have Ethan here. So Ethan, how are you?
I waited my turn here. You guys must be on delay here because I started wandering over when you were talking about the Q&A and I disrupted Donardo's long and intense thought here. I thought I would upstage
deep thoughts
pass.
with Donardo.
I thought I would upstage pass, and that's why I.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, you being in the background is certainly more of a celebrity than Passan. But also, now that you're here, what was your first Winter Meetings experience like?
It was awesome. I can't even begin to explain just how great this was. I've had a blast, and I'm here to talk about what I'm doing. But even that, it was just something I've always wanted to do, and I can't even explain just how worth it was.
Can I say something here too?
Yeah.
Honestly, like you want to talk about making connections. Ethan was the MVP of the Winter Meetings.
Ethan was all over the place talking to everybody. It was pretty cool.
You talk about like talking to people about the open. Everyone was talking to Ethan. And like Ethan would introduce himself and they'd be like, "Oh, I know who you are." So yeah, like Ethan was doing it this Winter Meetings.
Yep. All right. So you said Bellinger. Oh.
I'm gonna go now. Okay. Because unless you want to keep me here.
No. Yeah, you're good.
Nice seeing you all.
That was Ethan Houlihan. If you haven't, make sure you check out his Patreon, MLB Spreadsheets. If you're into payroll, transactions, all that stuff, really, really good resource. So, and a great friend of the show. Great friend of the show.
Yep.
Okay. So you said you stole Bellinger, which was my answer.
I love stealing. You can let me go first. So
favorite trade target, Shohei Ohtani, maybe. I think he's only owed like $5 million next year. So I think from a payroll standpoint, we could do it.
Pretty sure it's 2.
But yeah, no, realistically, like I said, Bellinger makes so much sense to me for every reason that you just said. That would be who I would go after, like with every dime that I have to my name if I'm Bob Nutting, because I think it's very important that they go out there and they get like that dude. Whereas Lowe, Polanco, O'Hearn, like these are all guys who can make the Pirates better. But I think this team could really benefit by having like a dude in it. And Bellinger is a dude.
And like we were kind of talking about Bellinger a year ago or 2 years ago as well, so it's like now he's out there and he's available.
Realistic though, Brandon Lowe. I think the Pirates can land Brandon Lowe. I don't think it's going to hurt too much to do it either. That's who I would get, and I would actually plug him in left field.
Okay, interesting.
All right. Next question. Any news on free agents in the Polanco tier or Okamoto? I'll say this. I didn't hear anything about really Murakami or Okamoto all week long.
No, same. And I because you've heard that they're interested, but you haven't really heard anything of them. But not that we're talking to too many outside people. It was like I don't really heard their names at all.
I haven't, like at all week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it.
CPL asked, did they offer Polanco? As far as I know, the offer isn't in yet, but it's like imminent.
They're getting the faxes ready.
Yeah, faxes. That's all they can afford is
Right.
the fax machine. They don't have email yet.
They had to stop at Staples, get the toner.
Bucko Kamish actually has a question for you, Donardo. He says that he notices you have a strong emphasis on whiff percentage with your player evaluations. Any specific reason for that? A lot of the game's best power hitters come into the league with high whiff percentage. And I'll point out, I'm pretty sure the biggest whiffer of anybody is Aaron Judge. So why do you hate Aaron Judge, Donardo?
Because I think there's a difference between whiffing at 35% in the major leagues and whiffing at 35% in AA or AAA, if that makes sense, right? Because you're making leaps and bounds. And the thing is, when you're looking at prospects, there's unknown, right? There's things to like, there's things to not like. And typically, I mean, we talked about this now. The talk right now is like whiff rate, but just think about strikeout percentage, more or less, right? We're looking at prospects, like what prospect have you seen that has had a 30% K rate in the minors, has gone up to the majors and has had a successful career? And like it's Joey Gallo. That's basically it. You know, like your guys that strike out, like think about this, like think about O'Neill Cruz, like bring it to home, right? 32% strikeout rate last year in the majors. And we understand his warts, right? But when you look at him in the minors, he was striking out 22, 23, 25% of the time. You know, like that's what you're looking at. Like these guys that are striking out at 30% of the time right now that aren't producing, right? Like the power isn't enough to allow that type of strikeout rate, right? Like those guys weren't striking out and whiffing this much in the minors. That's why there's, to me, so many red flags on this. Like when you're looking at Garcia, again, it's a good example of that. Like with this trade that we just had, he kind of fits that mold also. He's a prospect. There's a lot of uncertainty, unknown, but a lot of prospects in this mold don't transition to be good major leaguers. Yes, I know strikeouts are up. Powers make sense, but you're talking about if you're batting 170, hitting 20 home runs, is that worth the squeeze?
Like I said, it's a good question. I think now you can live with the strikeouts a little bit more than you have in the past.
You can live with them, right?
But it does need to be offset with like positive stuff.
Correct.
And when the positive stuff isn't there, it goes really bad. Like you
Jack
said,
Sawinski.
like Jack Sawinski, there's clear power there. Like there's tools. He's fast. He can crush the ball. But he swings and misses too much.
Right.
Like he swings and misses way too much that all of those other things don't even matter.
Right.
Right. You mentioned also O'Neill Cruz. Like we saw O'Neill Cruz in the second half of the season last year just be a terrible baseball player.
Right.
And
his whiff percentage in the major leagues was technically less than Garcia's in AAA.
I think it's just you just have a less margin for error with those
right.
guys. Like they just need to be able to do the other stuff really, really well.
Right.
All right. Next question that we've got here is, I don't know if this is actually Kevin Polkovich. If it is, probably one of my new favorite questions. But Kevin Polkovich won. That means the first Kevin Polkovich.
Right.
Are there any continued talks connecting Suarez to the Bucks, or is this Schwarb's round 2? So I'll say this. Suarez is a great fit, and everyone that we've talked to has been like, he's a great fit, but I haven't heard anything where like the Pirates are in on Suarez.
Like that's once again, I don't know if just because all the talks have been focusing and on everything else, but like, right. I haven't heard anything about Suarez. So doesn't mean that that's not maybe next. Like I see Polanco seems to be the guy that they're focused in on right now. If they miss out on him, it's like, I don't know if, okay, now we'll pivot to Suarez. Right. But at this point in time, like, yeah, it's a good fit. And I think he makes a lot of sense here. And I'm not saying the Pirates don't want him, but I haven't heard anything that they're even talking to him at this point in time. Seriously.
Yep. Next up, Polar Bear. If a lockout is anticipated in 2027, is a 1-year deal really a bad thing? I for one don't think there's a lockout coming. I wouldn't operate as if there is one either. Like I think there's too much at stake this year to just like make decisions based off of like something that could happen the
Don't
year
get
after.
cute.
Yeah, like I don't think it's playing a real role in just about anything, to be honest. I think
Right.
everybody's kind of operating under like I don't think anyone's operating under the impression that it's going to happen. It's going to change their decisions this offseason.
Same.
Christopher asks, with Yaz getting 2 years, $23 million, do the Pirates really have the budget to add a worthwhile veteran outfielder to pair with the password? And I think I answered this earlier. Like I would do if you're shifting away from the big name guys, I would go out there and I would get Lowe, and I would go out there and I would get Polanco, and Lowe is my left fielder.
Okay.
So that makes sense. As far as the other names available, like
I
Yaz
guess
made sense.
let me frame this though.
Mhm.
But like, would you invest that into like a platoon player with like you're talking about Lowe, but that's an everyday guy. Would you invest that type into like a platoon type player with maybe Garcia somewhere?
I'm still operating under the impression that Garcia is either not going to be on the opening day roster, or if he is, he's a fourth outfielder. Like he is by no means an answer. But as far as like other options, like, I mean, you look at like a Mike Tauchman, like Mike Tauchman can go out there and hit righties and
Right.
do it fairly well and field the position. So if you're looking for like a cheap answer and like try to create this solid left fielder just based off of a platoon, that's an option there. So I think there are ways to get creative out there without spending a ton of money now that Yaz is off the board.
Yeah.
See, Zarina, are they interested in any of the Asian players? Like we said before, I think they're interested in everybody. If you can hit, they're interested in you.
Right.
I didn't get a sense or didn't hear anything this week of them like actively in talks or close to signing anybody. Like the way that those there's windows where like they're posted, so that decision isn't even made for a little bit longer. But I would say that they will most surely be talking to some international players because it was very clear that they need hitting. They need to find hitting any way they can. And so if you can hit, like they're going to talk to you.
Right. Yep.
All right. This one's for you, Donardo. What about Bregman? The Pirates obviously don't have any third baseman coming up in the system. Yeah. What about Bregman?
All right. So remember when I said, oh, they offered Schwarber, so they're in an actual like real free agent. So I'll think about Bellinger. Bregman doesn't fit that mold. That's to me, that's a pipe dream. No, I would absolutely welcome it. Absolutely welcome it. But like, he's not Schwarber.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. That's all I had starred. So I mean, it's been an hour. That's I think we're gonna call it a night. Again, thank you guys so much. Like the reason why we're able to do this sort of thing is because you guys have watched us, you listen to us, you follow us. Like you guys are just amazing. I mean, we've seen pretty incredible growth on the podcast just over the last couple of years, this year in particular, which, astounds me because the Pirates are terrible. And somehow
worse.
somehow more and more of you keep wanting to watch stuff about him and listen to things about him. So
Right.
but you guys are awesome. But yeah, check out all the stuff we put out this week if you haven't yet. Like, I mean, we talked with every single Pirates beat writer who was here. We talked to a national reporter. We talked to some prospect analysts. So like we talked to Jolly Olive, Sax Boy Billy. Yeah, we were by a waterfall, so the audio is a little weird on that one.
Yeah,
I think we didn't really plan that one out. But no, it was a great week. Got to talk to a ton of people. Got to meet a lot of people, and yeah, I'm excited for you guys to check out all of that. And like I said, I think we also. I think just for future, kind of pulling back the curtain, like the cool thing about this trip is you get to meet and talk to people and kind of just get to know more people. So maybe that turns into just even more content and guests that we can bring you down the road as well.
Yeah. And from some fruitful conversation we had, probably happening too. So big stuff happening up this upcoming year. But also Friday, Sicko Sound Off is back. Again, the Pirates seem to be going home empty-handed on hitters. I'm sure you guys have a lot of things you want to say. I'll be hosting Sicko Sound Off on Friday, 8 p.m. Again, the whole idea of that is for you guys to come on and vent. Talk about, I mean, you could vent, you could talk about something you want, whatever it is, right? But come on, think about like a radio station style show. You come on, talk your ish. Maybe you have a question, maybe you want to vent, whatever it is. But, again, we'll have probably 3 people chosen to start off the show from our Discord. So if you're not in our Discord, first of all, get in that. It's a great community. That's where we usually go to first for a lot of things. Sometimes we give some info to them at Discord as well first. So go into our Discord, but we'll have our 3 first guests like that way. Then after that, we'll just be pulling off people from YouTube. So you want to come on, we'll get you on and talk your ish, probably about 40, 45 minutes. And so again, yeah, we'll see you on Friday for that. Then, of course, go back to our regular schedule on Monday with Buck Up Brew, unless, of course, Jim's correct in his prediction and maybe Jorge Polanco's a Sunday night thing.
Yeah, that's my prediction. We do a Jorge
Did
Polanco.
the Steelers play Sunday?
No, they have a Monday night game.
It's Monday night. Ben's he's gonna ruin your Steelers game on Monday night. He's signing Jorge Polanco then. Actually,
I could see that.
It's gonna be
It's gonna be like in the final drive of the game too.
Yeah. So, but hey, we love you all. Like we say over and over again. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.